Looks like it. For now, at least.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
From starring in almost all of the 450 episodes of the show to finally rising to the lead character, this actor has come a long way on NCIS. Sean Murray's character McGee is finally coming into his own. When Mark Harmon left NCIS after 19 seasons, it was definitely one of the biggest TV events of the decade.
Well, that too. I'm not going back home.
Sure, it's the NCIS team that makes the magic happen, but it was Harmon who was really the face of it, and he had quite a bit of clout on set, too. His departure did change things, especially for Murray, who played his second-in-command, Timothy McGee. For a character that had always been in the shadow of his superior, it was finally his time to shine.
Parker, come on, this is your case too. I know that you care.
So now you want to be a team again?
The actor acknowledged that McGee was definitely more confident in his abilities now.
It's IS. Mr. Baltoni.
Call me Travis, man, unless that's illegal.
More than a year after the big change, Murray spoke to Entertainment Weekly about it. He spoke about how the very nature of his character had changed.
Your badge was used to access the medication unit when the propofol was taken.
The actor was talking about how his character had grown and changed throughout the show. He said that when the show first started, his character McGee was the ultimate rookie. But as time went on, both the character and the actor portraying him grew and developed.
Oh, so you're sending me in through an air vent.
Well, it is the safest way to get into the server room undetected.
According to the actor, McGee is now a lot more sure of himself and clearly capable of doing a lot more than he used to be. He said that this growth felt natural, all thanks to the writers who have been with the show for a long time and know the character inside and out. There's also, of course, his own growth as an actor over the years and how that was a big part of the development of his character. That's the thing about shows that go on for years and years.
Could be 3 if the Orioles are at home.
Wow. Sam must have been one hell of a conversationalist.
All his passengers loved it.
The characters become so rich and complex because the actor is literally growing alongside their role, and we as the audience become so connected to their journey. That's the privilege of playing a character for 20 years, according to Murray himself. The actor thinks it's pretty cool that he's been playing the same character for more than 20 years. We know that's something not many actors get to do.
Oh, Case, that's where we usually sit.
Oh, we can switch places later. I'll be happy to answer all of your questions.
Murray remembers talking to the writers early on about how he didn't want to play a character who was always the same and never grew or changed. He even compared it to being Maggie Simpson. He wanted his character to have some depth and complexity. Luckily, the writers were totally on board with that idea.
Hey, guys. So I just went over Casey's report, and she is right. Otis was definitely trying to access our secure servers.
They've actually made sure that his character has grown and evolved over time. It's been a natural progression, and the actor has had a lot of fun with it. For him, it's a lot more interesting to play a character who has layers and isn't just a one-dimensional stereotype.
So my abuelita like that. Probably why Vega didn't target any residents with close family.
And he's grateful to have had the chance to explore his character's growth over such a long period of time. But he does have some pretty big shoes to fill. Harmon's character was the moral compass of the show, and that's according to co-star Rocky Carroll. He even said that Gibbs was the kind of character everyone wanted in their lives. Not gonna lie, it must be low-key intimidating for Murray to live up to such expectations. That said, they are two different people and characters. McGee isn't necessarily replacing Gibbs in many ways, but Harmon's departure was a big hit to the show.
I'm thinking I don't have another boat left to build.
Well, then we'll find you another hobby.
I'm not looking for a hobby.
Now, NCIS is a show with an incredibly devoted fan base. Fans are known to be fiercely loyal and dedicated to the show. When Gibbs left NCIS, it had a pretty big impact on fans. His emotional final scene left many viewers in tears. Many of them took to social media to vent. Some were even surprised at how emotional they were, with one admitting that they rarely get emotional over TV characters. But here, they were crying over this one. Others described Gibbs' departure as a beautiful ending to his story arc. For fans, Gibbs had been a beloved character for almost 2 decades, so his departure was a tough moment for many. This response seems to have affected the show's ratings, with the latest season having some of the lowest ratings in a while, and the sound of that probably makes the whole cast a little bit less sure of itself.
We have ceramics class on Wednesdays.
Dad's more of a yoga guy.
We have that too, and a meditation class.
Not just Sean Murray. It seems that Harmon may eventually come back to the show, but in all my good sense, it's probably not going to be in a permanent role, so McGee isn't going to be pushed back into the rookie spot.
He's trying to kill me so he can keep the place to himself.
Dad's gonna be tough, believe me, but you're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
Harmon's character isn't dead, he simply moved to Alaska, where he seems to have found peace and isn't too keen on coming back. But Harmon himself addressed the fact that the character is out of sight, but he could come back for that odd guest appearance. Rumor has it that they may bring him back for the show's 500th episode, which should be about 2 years from now. Kinda like a sweet reunion, or perhaps the two of them will crack open a case together. I honestly think that despite the ghost of Harmon always hanging over the show, we're going to see Murray more in the spotlight than ever before.
Vega matched with half a dozen other people, wealthy people, all people at the end of their lives.
In fact, if you've been paying attention, you'll know that Sean Murray's Tim McGee is now leading the opener instead of Harmon's Leroy Jethro Gibbs. Now, if that isn't a clear indicator of who leads the story, I don't know what is.
Well, I'm a tougher sell.
I get it. You want to make sure your father's in the best hands.
But with Harmon still continuing as an executive producer on the show, it confirms that really, that's how he wanted the show to continue. In fact, his exit from the show wasn't a sudden one. It's something he had discussed with the writers much earlier. So they started making ground for it in season 18, and then Gibbs finally makes his exit in the 4th episode of season 19. In fact, his final scene is also with McGee. I'm going to read that it has a definite passing on of the baton. Like, here you go, McGee, over to you now.
You staying here? For how long?
Not sure.
Now, if you remember, in the episode called The Great Wide Open, the two of them take a trip to Alaska to catch a suspect, which basically wraps up the serial killer plotline. And when they're done, Gibbs tells McGee that he's not going back to DC with him. He's going to stay in Alaska, mostly because of the sense of peace he found there. It's actually pretty poignant.
I could not have hoped for anyone better to watch my back for the past 18 years than you, Tim.
The two of them are fishing together when Gibbs just breaks it to him. He even tells McGee that he couldn't have hoped for a better colleague, and the two share an emotional hug. Turns out things got emotional for real, too. Murray admitted that there were lots of feelings when they were shooting the scene. He said that Harmon was like a mentor to him, and saying goodbye definitely wasn't easy for him to do on camera. But he agreed if there was any character who should have done the goodbye scene with Gibbs, it was his own. The two have shared some pretty solid times together on the show, and it made sense that the final goodbye should feature McGee.
Plus, you realize we're in the middle of nowhere, right? We are 50 miles from anyone or anything.
Not a bad thing.
The whole excursion to Alaska was an experience. It was just Murray and Harmon from the cast who flew out, and a small splinter group of the crew. But Murray counts that week as some of the best work they've done on the show so far. During the fishing scene, the crew was crying too. One of the grips even came up to Murray and said he had a bone to pick with him because he made a grown man cry. Here's hoping that Sean Murray's character continues to grow. But we have to admit that Harmon's exit has changed not just Murray's character, but almost everything on the show.
What is that?
Data. Lots of it, all from outside sources.